chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and we have another defeat to talk about. Another 3 goals shipped by the Rotherham United defence this weekend. We're always trying to find the positives, and we'll start by saying, I suppose, congratulations to Emi Martinez, the first former Rotherham player to go on and win the World Cup, win the Golden Glove. Obviously learnt it all in his 8 games at New York at Rotherham United. That's, you're only in 8 games to learn the big things, Mick, and that's the only one of the few positives, few Rotherham United positives I can find for this weekend, because it is good to see.
It's ours, mate. It'll always be a Miller, and United world champion as well. So he's almost completed it, hasn't
he? Yeah. Shame he had to play for Wednesday for that time. I mean, other than that, it's perfect for him.
Well, he had to learn how not to do it as well. It's important, when you're learning a trade, it's really important to learn how not to do things as well as how to do things. It's important in the learning process. So, they've done it, haven't they? They've helped out. They've contributed.
Yeah. Well done to him. That's it may go down as the only person to ever play for Rotherham going World Cup. We don't know, but there we'll go. There we'll go. Start again by saying a big thank you to Athletic Green for supporting and sponsoring the show. As we mentioned previously, that's sort of an energy drink. AG1 is there, fully nutritional energy drink, which gives you basically energy through the day. It's not obviously not called an energy drink, but it gives you, that's the purpose behind it essentially, to make you healthier. 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens. Mick, as the Athletic Greens spokesman for the New York Talk podcast, tell everybody how amazing it is.
Well, it's been really, really good. I've really enjoyed using it, and I've benefited massively from it, although it's not stopped me getting a cold, which is hugely disappointing, I have to say. But there you go. Well worth a try.
Yes, it is. I completely agree. And as we mentioned before, to make it easy, Athletic Green are going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/Rotherham. This allows you to take ownership of your ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So thank you very much to those guys for helping out. We'll go to the comments. YouTube users this evening, gentlemen. Not a good weekend for us again. Correct. Evening all, Simon Thorne's with us. Mike the Miller says Martinez was sensational in the final, but didn't like his gamesmanship in the shootout. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Because it wasn't against England. I'm all for that kind of stuff. Ian Bradley says there isn't any positives from yesterday. How many mistakes has Wes got to make before he's dropped? Saleable assets or stopped performing. This is PW's squad. Matt Taylor needs to get his squad in. And Kim Hayward's with us as well. Thank you. Yeah, difficult to know where to start, Mick. There were some changes. Some expected changes. Ollie Rathbone coming out was not expected. It turns out he's picked up a slight groin strain, although the scan's clear, basically. So that's why he didn't start the game. Scott High came in for his first league start. Cam Humphreys came back in, which was essentially a straight swap for Richard Wood. Find me a positive. We'll come on to loads of negatives because there's about 1,000 negatives to come on to make. But if you can, scrape together some sort of positive from the game, if you can.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not buying into all this huge negativity. I'm genuinely not. Yeah, we were poor in phases. To say that we were as poor as we were against Bristol City just beggars belief for me, in my view. I don't agree with that at all. I thought on the ball, we were pretty comfortable, pretty confident. The issues are, one, we created absolutely nothing. So we've got this keeping possession of the ball and playing it about and playing some nice little pass and moves and stuff like that. However, there's nothing going forward, which is hugely disappointing. What's changed since the change of manager is that the ball's not even getting in the box any longer, which is a worry. But Yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult to draw any positives out of it. Conceded 3 goals. The first 2 goals were just poor defensive mistakes. I mean, the first one, the defensive mistakes started in midfield, and obviously were compounded by the defence. The second goal, it was just really poor, really poor. The ball should never have got in, and it should have been defended better when it did come in. As far as the third goal is concerned, not a penalty, never been a penalty, no way in a million years. However, but the game's, well, that made the game dead and buried at that point. Maybe if you were incredibly optimistic, you could say that at 2-0 we could perhaps have maybe got back into the game had we managed to scrape one back. But
we could still be playing now, we wouldn't have scored.
Well, it weren't going to happen because that final ball wasn't there. And the reason that final ball wasn't there is there was nobody to receive it. So unfortunately, it's not working. This system. It started off really well, and now it's gone. It's just gone. It's just poor.
The only positive I can find is Victor saved a penalty. Obviously, the rebound went in, but I suppose there's credit where credit's due. When you save a penalty, there's some credit due. That's literally all I can find.
He saved a penalty, and once it rebounded, our players were still stood on the 18-yard box.
Yeah, I've got an issue with player stuff as well.
So
they might as well do it now. So we're going to this shows me sort of cut up into 2 sections. We'll have a first 10-15 minute chat. We've got Lee McMann coming on to talk about the drop me off in Rotherham single. That'll be on in 10 minutes or so. So we'll get through some bits and then we'll delve a bit deeper into stuff. I mean, player attitude, Mick. I'm not going to talk too much because we're not there. We're not sat watching them. We're not stood with them. But I didn't really like the sort of laughing and joking some players with the opposition when you're 3-0 down and that's how you're performing. I know I shouldn't really be bothered by it, but I'm sat there really angry and really cross that they're putting in this performance. And I think Chio was one. I know Chio's just a happy guy, so I don't want to dig him out too much, but just riles me up, to be honest with you. They should be really frustrated and really angry, really. Am I being too harsh on it, or
I wasn't aware of it, if I'm honest.
Okay.
It's not something I particularly picked up on. It's the lack of ideas that for me it just wasn't there at all. There was just nothing, and it's a real shock. It's a real surprise. I'll be honest, because they're capable of so much better. And it just I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But yeah, he's going to have to work. He's got some work to do. He's really got his work cut out. They were poor. They were there for the taking. There's no question about that. Us at our best would have absolutely wiped the floor with them yesterday. Some of the performances that we put in at the beginning of the season, we would have wiped the floor with them yesterday because they were pretty poor. But we just, I don't know. I don't know whether it's an attitude thing or whether it's, I don't know what it is, but it is that they're going to have to step it up. They really are.
Yeah, they are. John Morrell, the fan, says caught the second half of our game and he thinks we looked shocking, looked like a relegation team on just in the second half. Absolutely huge game coming up. YouTube user and Chris Tether says 3 strikers on the bench. Starting Chio up front is the wrong setup. Chris Tether asks, what's happened to closing them down? I can't tell how many times yesterday that they just knocked the ball back to the keeper. And I thought, put him under pressure here. You can put them under a bit of bother, and then they just allow it.
You can't when you're playing one man up front. You can't do that. You've got to.
That's the problem, isn't it? Though we need to be putting people under pressure. They could have. We allowed them to do whatever they wanted to do at times yesterday. That's not good enough to upset them.
No, absolutely. Get in the face, and that's how we managed to get the 26 points on the board. So it's 2 games. It is only 2 games.
If you count the whole game in there as well,
Yeah, but
3 games.
Yeah, but over a 46-game season, and we know that we're capable of much better. The players know they're capable of much better, and the management team know that as well. So it's just whether he's capable of extracting it from them.
Well, is it? That's the question. David Carroll says we're dropping like a stone. Yeah, it's difficult. It is. We are, and I know you're going to go because it is only 2 games. It is, but you look at the wider sort of stats of it. We've got one win out of the last 9. Yes, it was against Sheffield United, and it was an amazing win. But it's 1 win out of the last 9. Only 3 wins in 13 for Matt Taylor. Obviously, a couple of draws in there as well. Maybe 3 in 13 is what you expect from a team fighting for relegation. We were obviously, I suppose we should say that we were obviously overachieving. I've seen people sort of say when Matt Taylor came in, we were 8th. That was a false position. We were never going to stay 8th. That I know we were there because we had the points on the board. But did anybody genuinely think we were going to stay there? No. We had a kind set of fixtures to start the season. We didn't play any of the big boys until Watford came, which we picked up a point against. So, do you think is that part of our problem as fans that the start was so good, we're now just hitting a patchy bit of form, or do you think there is a downturn in performance?
A bit of both. It doesn't help, does it? It doesn't help the expectations of the fans after last season's good runs that we had. As soon as we come up and we start having a good run again, people expect. And the expectation levels rise, and you almost get that sense of entitlement that we should be winning. Well, that's not the case, is it? You know what I mean? We knew where we were going to be in this season, and we knew that we were going to be scrapping to stay up, and that's not changed. That hasn't changed, and we will be scrapping to stay up, and we will scrap, and we've got the quality to keep us in this division. No question about it. We've got that quality within the team. We proved that beginning of the season. Absolutely proved it, So, but he's got to start getting some performances out of. He's got to start making them sing because we're not at the moment.
Yeah, we'll come and talk about individual performances in a bit, but another part of the frustration probably comes from that run of games we had, where whatever it was, 10 games in whatever it was, in almost 4 weeks or whatever it was. All we heard from us, and a lot of times we heard from Matt Taylor, was that this is a crazy run. Basically, get this run out of the way, and we'll be back to normal football, so to speak. And we had a 4-week break. Well, let's call it 3 weeks with the players because they were given a week off, from what we understand. And then we come back and we are worse. It's only 2 games. But we are not just a bit worse. We're significantly worse than the 4 games leading up to the break. That's another frustration because you've had 3 weeks with them. You should be getting some positive, good ideas into them.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you a positive thing from these 2 games in terms of our overall play. It's just bad.
Yeah. The positive is that we're trying to maintain possession of ball instead of just hoofing it up all the time. So we are trying to get a little bit of possession-based football going, and we are capable of it. And we have had some flashes of some really nice one-touch football as well, but it's not enough. It's not enough, and I fully accept that. But I'm desperately clinging to try and find some positives out of what I see. It was harder to find any positives out of the Bristol City game than it was yesterday. There were some, not many. But the major part of this is that we've got nothing up front. And the experiment of keeping Chio up there as a lone striker is not working. It's absolutely not working. And that for me needs to change. It has to change because the only way we're getting the ball to him is by going long. We're playing some, like I said, we're trying to keep possession in midfield, and then we're playing it long to Chio instead of playing it to feet. And therefore nothing happens. We didn't put a ball in the box, I don't think, all game, did we?
Don't think we did, no. I'll see if we can find some crossing stats, but I don't think we did.
It's just that part of it, that going forward part, it's got to change. It's got to change because what you're doing is you're putting more and more pressure on the midfield and the defence, and which is going to generate mistakes. So, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I suppose we will. Yeah, I can't find offhand any crossing stats. I know we have one shot on target in the entire game. The striking thing is the clear and obvious issue. We all thought that Chio might be a striker. He scored a few goals. We thought, it worked against Sheffield United like an absolute dreamboat. And since then, that's been a bit of a problem. I know we ever beat Sheffield United. We then drew against Luton. But a lot of the problems against Luton in the end came because we all weren't sticking. Whenever it went forward, there were no movement. And whenever we lose the ball, we'll come on to the out of possession in a minute because that's a disaster as well. What do you do? What do you do? We've got Chris Taylor saying 4-4-2. I think the 3-5 part works. The three at the back and the sort of the three in the centre and your wing backs is fine. That's not really a problem. We talk about individual mistakes, obviously, but I don't think that's necessarily a problem. The problem is up front. What you said earlier, I said it earlier. It's a disaster. Chio can't hold the ball up because he's not strong enough. That's not a dig at Chio. That's just not what he does. He can win the occasional header, but he's not big enough to win headers on a daily basis. He doesn't run the channels, which he should be doing. That's the basics I expect of a single striker. Run the channels. He doesn't do that. He's got pace, but as we listened to Lewis in the preview show, West Brom have been sitting 10 yards deeper. So Chio's not going to have any luck unless they're pushing for the game. Chio's not going to have any luck on his last man because there is essentially no last man. So I don't get it. I feel like we're playing a system that's not necessarily suited to us, and it's just frustrating, mate.
It is, and the other thing that's disappeared from the game, and I know you're going to come on to this in a minute, but the press is just not there anymore. And that success that we had at the beginning of the season was built on that press, that high press, high energy game, and that seems to have been kind of sapped out of it a little bit over recent weeks. So I don't know. It is a worry, and I know you've earmarked a comment there earlier up about me suggesting that it might just be a blip. I'm clinging. I'm hoping that that's what it is. But I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Right, 3 games, mate.
I know. We're going to have a brief break from trying to find a positive, and we're going to find an actual positive. We've got Lee McMann with us. Lee, how are you doing, Lee?
I'm all right, Matt. How are you?
Very, very good. Thank you very much. Now, Mick, we're begging me to get in contact with you to bring you on the show to talk about Drop Me Off in Rotherham, the re-release of Drop Me Off in Rotherham. So I'm going to pass over to Mick and allow you to go fanboy, a little bit of fanboy on you.
I knew we were going to do this, Lee, and because he's really, really good at presenting and stuff, and I'm absolute garbage at it. So the re-release of the single was out Friday, was it?
Yeah, there was two stages to it. It was out on the 9th originally, out on the website. The idea behind that was to try and basically, in these days of Spotify and Apple and all that sort of stuff, I think the artists can get lost a little bit. So it was kind of drive people to the website to raise awareness that it was LPMC, it was Drop Me Off in Rotherham, and to try and drive traffic there so we could kind of get an awareness of the track being out. But we put it out for free, and the idea was that people could pay what they wanted. So on the back of the stuff that we did on the Legends Night, I thought it'd be a good idea to follow up, and any monies that were paid would just get donated to Rotherham Hospice as a bit of a byproduct of me obviously trying to promote the album, the song. And then on Friday just gone, it's come out on Spotify and Apple and Amazon and any other streaming platform that people might be on.
Yeah. What and I have to say, it's absolutely fantastic. I love the song. I loved the song from the first time I heard it. I'm a bit of a nostalgic old git, really. And there are times when it still brings a tear to my eye, that song. I love it because it just brings back so many memories of what is our town. You know what I mean? And I know it probably, to somebody outside the town, it's just another song. Essentially, it doesn't have that same resonance. The words don't have the same meaning. Having said that, once you've heard it, you can't stop singing it. And I don't know whether that's just me, but what made you re-record it? What made you sort of go again?
There was a few reasons, really. I mean, when we were back in Tivoli, we were hard at it for about 5 or 6 years, and the song always bugged me. I was never pleased. with the lyrics, and I thought it had a good melody, a good rhythm, and it started out with a bit of a laugh, really. And when people call it a comedy song, which they do to me, I don't know. It kind of winds me up a little bit because, I mean, there were lyrics that were just thrown together that seemed to work at the time, and we started playing it, and people just seemed to like it. And then as the shows went on, it seemed to be the track that everybody was waiting for. And I thought we had miles better tracks on the album that were released, actually. But this were the one that stuck, and it weren't just locally. It was like wherever we went, this seemed to be the track that stuck. So the reason for re-recording it, first and foremost, I thought it was the biggest wild card I got in my back pocket to try and deflect people back to the album. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't come and regurgitate what had been before because, I'm a mature songwriter now. You have to evolve, sort of thing. And the people had said to me, "Where can we get it online?" and all that sort of stuff. And we were like, we broke up in about 2013 in the Tivoli. So the way that we consume music now, kind of, it weren't the same back then. So we just put it out on CD. So that was one reason. Make it available to people. Put a different slant on it, and I just wanted it to be a little bit more mature, a little bit more reflective of where I am in my life now. And I think I've done a good job of it. I actually much prefer this one to the previous one. It's feels a little bit more, satisfying from a songwriting perspective. Where the other one is, it is what it is, and I'll always be thankful for it. And I'm glad that people like yourself feel the way that you do about it. But I think for me now, this is the new version that I'd like to establish moving forward. And I mean, there was other reasons as well. I mean, I was getting messages about people using it as the funeral song and stuff like that, which kind of took me back a little bit. And I bumped into a few people on the Legends night that were explaining to me how the song had actually helped them get through some troubled times in their lives, and it was quite I didn't really know that it was as popular as what it was at the time until you kind of get to a point and you can reflect and look back and you think, wow, well, that's you kind of done your job a little bit, you know what I mean? So it's really nice to hear that people still like it, and I was really nervous actually because I've made some brutal edits to this one, which I'm sure you're aware of, as to whether it'd go down as well as the old one. But from what I'm being told, and what people are saying to me, they seem to be really enjoying it. So I'm delighted that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, it is a more grown-up version.
I think that's it's like a progression, isn't it? From this, it's almost a different song. There's different words, obviously. It's almost a progression from one song to the other.
Well, the album's called Providence, and this track is almost like the missing. There's 9 tracks on the album, and this is almost like the missing 10th track because of all the tracks there, and me as a writer and me as a musician. it's probably the biggest example of Providence in terms of planning for future events. How it's grown and the way it's come about. So it's kind of like the album's secret track, if you know what I mean, without being secret.
Yeah. And is the album out now? Then has that been released?
Yeah, well, the album was out actually a few months ago. It's just been a slow burner. It's difficult, when you come out as under a new banner as a new artist and trying to raise awareness for the work that you're doing. So that came out on Spotify and Apple and all the other stuff back at the end of July, I think, and it's just been a slow builder and trying to build slow burner and trying to build it. And as I said, that's mainly one of the reasons why I thought Drop Me Off from Rotherham would be a good or a revamped version of it would be a good idea, because it could kind of deflect people back to the album and hopefully keep growing listeners and a fan base and move it on into next year and see where we can take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're still obviously still performing live on a regular basis. Yeah,
I mean, the difficulty is, the challenge I wanted to set myself when I made this record is that when I was in the Tivoli, I had the privilege of being in a band with some really first class musicians, and I kind of had the easiest job, just standing at the front, playing rhythm guitar and singing, really. But I don't have a band anymore. Now. I'm not in a position in my life where I could go out and recruit a band to record an album. So I decided that I'd try and record everything myself. So everything that you hear on the album is pretty much me playing, whether that's live or programmed stuff. It took about 6 years to finish it. One of the reasons is because I realised I needed to be a better musician and offer better performances. So that was the idea. There's a couple of contributing performances from Jed Morgan's from a band called Opus Kink, and keys player Pete Zinkovich that's in Errol Linton's blues band, and they can do that sort of stuff a lot better than I can do it, but I held down the rest throughout the rest of the album. So that was the challenge. I think I'm satisfied with the results. I think there's some really good songs on there. I mean, the idea is still what the Tivoli is about. I'm still writing about the same old thing, really, which is the town we live in, the surroundings, the situation you are in life, the struggles to bring in the money and all that sort of stuff. But it's just from probably an older head now.
Yeah, and it's the best place to be, Lee. The older you get, the wiser you are. As
you're struggling to find a word, then, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, mate, because I'm not quite sure that if the younger version of me in the Tivoli was, I'm not quite sure how much I'd get on with that version of me anymore. Because, when you look back, there were some things that I just thought I wish you'd have done things differently. We had a great time in that band, but maybe I wasn't mature enough to really enjoy the ride, if you know what I mean. And there's been a lot of soul searching and a lot of self-reflection gone into this album. I mean, if you manage to listen to it and bring up the lyrics and stuff, you'll see the lyrics are they're quite hard hitting in places, but we try to wrap it up in kind of sweet melody and in places energetic drum beats that it kind of creates this juxtaposition where that's not the first thing you think about. So I'm pleased with the album. I think I've achieved what my goal was. The hardest thing now, and it's a lot harder than what I realised, is actually just trying to let people know that it's out there.
Get out there. Yeah.
Well, I recommend it. I've listened to it quite a lot now. It was a really good album. Our Main Street is probably my favourite off it. I really love that. I think it's great.
Thanks. Well, the sax makes it, and that's the only thing I don't play on that.
No, other than that, good call, mate. So, Lee, while you're here, just changing the subject very slightly. Rotherham United.
Yeah.
What have you anything to say? Because I'm running out of stuff to say.
You've probably already said it, and I think maybe the fans have said it already yesterday on the Twitter feed and all that sort of stuff. That it was a disappointing result, wasn't it? Even more disappointing performance. I think I listened to Matt's interview after the game, and the positive for me is that he saw it the way that I saw it. You know, the defensive frailties cost us. We did look like a bit of a soft touch at times. The only thing that I disagreed with him, that I'm not quite sure we were good in okay in possession or good in possession. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think we offered anything really all afternoon. I thought there were 3 really soft goals. I think the thing is that he's seen it. He's talking about narrowing his focus, moving into the week to try and address it for the Stoke game. But I think the positive is, we've got a game against Stoke and Huddersfield now, and I think they're 2 games that, on the back of the 2 results that we've had, there's nothing to fear. We go out and give it a right go, and I think there's points there to be won. We just need to find ourselves again.
Yeah, bang on, absolutely. That's exactly what we need to do.
Go through a couple of comments before you go. Neil obviously wants to say loves the single and loves the album. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Neil.
Neil Lewis again also says he's got your dropping Rotherham both the new and old version in his matchday playlists as well. He wants to. Do you have a YouTube channel, or is it just the website, iTunes, Spotify?
No, there is a YouTube channel. If you go to the website, there should be links on there. But I'm saying that, and I think that I changed it the other day when I was doing the single stuff, and I might have took the link off. So I'll repost the link up tomorrow for all the socials and stuff like that. If you go into to buy the tracks or to stream the tracks, there's links to Spotify and Apple there. But I think the YouTube one's been taken off. So Neil, I'll have a look at that and put that back on.
And Mark Gambles, I've seen Mark say this before. He wants you to do a cover of Miller Men. I don't know if you've seen his comment on Twitter before.
Mark might have been the one that got in touch with me the other day, because I got a message on Twitter asking about that. And I love the original for that. I know it's dated with the Millmore lyrics and stuff now, and that was the response about updating the lyrics. Look, I'd be delighted to have a go at that, and if it's something the club would want to do, then I'm happy to speak to them about trying to do something.
That was a great idea. Club, get involved. I mean, they probably don't listen to this, but you never know.
You need to get on your hotline to Sam Todd, mate.
My hotline.
Yeah, you're in top corner there. And let's see if we can at least let's get Drop Me Off in Rotherham out while the teams are coming out, or when the teams are out.
Yeah, well, Sam's been very supportive actually of the track. I mean, what I said to Sam when we spoke about it, he loves the track anyway. Is that the ultimate ambition for the track is that I'd love it to become more synonymous with a club, obviously, but I'd love a whole town to adopt it as the soundtrack. Do you know what I mean? It don't have to just stay in the walls at New York Stadium. I think that that's the ultimate ambition. So yeah, but Sam's been first class really with the support that he's given. He's obviously he has his own challenges trying to push things through, but he's been first class, and I'm working with him to try and do more promotional stuff with the club on the track. So we'll see how that goes.
Excellent. Fingers crossed.
Well, there you go, Lee. Just one last time. Let's plug it again. So drop it on Rotherham, iTunes, Spotify, on your website, and the Providence. It's LPMC. If you search that in any of those.
Basically, if you're on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever you want, just type in LPMC. The album's called Providence. Drop Me Off in Rotherham is separate to that, but everything's on the accounts for all the digital streams. The website's lpmcmusic.com. So there's a lot more information on there for anybody who might want to find it.
Perfect. Lovely to speak to you, and hopefully we'll speak to you again in future. Thank you very much for that music and for speaking to us as well. Cheers.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lee, for that. I do highly recommend, as I mentioned, that the album is brilliant. So thank you very much. Right, we've had a spell of positivity. Let's go back to some more talking about football, shall we?
Can we get Lee back on?
We had an email, speaking of Mark Gambles, and it's basically he's written a really long email about how I feel at the moment, and it's really, really good. I can't read it all out because it'll take me too long to read it because I'm not a very good reader. But it is really good. It's essentially asking, is the honeymoon period over for Matt Taylor? I'll read up some excerpts from it because, like I say, it'll take a bit of time. But first of all, talks about defence. Mark Gamble says, in defence, Taylor doesn't seem to have found a settled back line. He's relying on the old guard of Wood, Hall, Peltier, and while their collective experience speaks for itself, it's not a solution that can be relied on week in, week out at their peak performance. While the old heads may not tire as easily, their legs are another matter. Playing Cam Humphreys inconsistently and Wes out of position on numerous occasions seems damaging for their confidence. Jamie McCart couldn't buy a run in the team, it seems. He also mentions on defence, at times our defending ranges from colossus to desperate. The defence is very bipolar. Either you'd put your house on a clean sheet, or you could see easily 3 to 6 goals a match going in. There seems to be no middle ground. It's feast or famine. And to be honest with you, he's hit the nail on the absolute head. Yesterday was I think Bristol City was less so, but yesterday was every time we didn't have the ball, I thought we were going to concede. We were at 6s and 7s. Wes had one of the worst games he's had for us in a very, very long time, and it's been a gradual decline to this point. He's been poor for a couple of games now, Wes, and he shouldn't be playing there. And I love Wes. We all know we love Wes. He should not be playing in that position, and I can't fathom for anything why he's playing there. Put Cam Humphreys there. Play Woody at middle. Play McCart. Play Jim McCart. I'm getting to the point where I'm getting frustrated at that selection point now because Wes deserves better.
You know my view on Wes Harding. You know what my views are. Everybody knows that. I've made them perfectly clear. And you're right. His performances over the last few games have got progressively worse. But he's out of position. He's playing out of position, and you can't consistently play somebody in an unnatural position for them and expect them to perform at the level that they do when they're playing where they should be. I can't get my head around why Wes played on the left and Cam Humphreys played in the middle. It didn't make any sense to me. I mean, why Lee Peltier in the middle, Cam Humphreys on the left, Wes on the right? Happy days. What is and so you got all three central defenders who've got natural positions playing in a different position. It doesn't make sense to me. Why Jamie McCart's not playing, I don't know. Whether there's an injury, whether there's an illness.
It wasn't the bench yesterday, so I'm gonna say it's probably illness, but I don't know.
Yeah,
potentially.
But yeah, Wes's form's dropping off, and his confidence is going to go because of that, and it's going to create another problem. But for me, I'm going to throw in there that probably it's because he's been played out of position and played out of position regularly. I don't know. You don't become a bad player, do you? You know, I mean, we know what Wes is capable of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, all players drop in and out of form, but it's not helping him when he's constantly being moved about, but not moved into the position that he's used to playing in.
Yeah, and I don't get. He left Richard Wood out of the squad to put more attacking options on the bench. I don't get it. I would have Richard Wood in every match day squad I ever read out. You want Richard Wood, I know he would have still been there, but you just want him there. You want him in and around. I don't get this of not putting him in the match day squad. We didn't use the attacking options very well anyway. Woody should have started. I know he was rubbish against Bristol City, and I accept that. But Woody should have started in centre. Humphreys should have gone to the left, and you put Wes or Peltier on your right hand side. I don't care. When Richard Wood's fit, for the most part, is brilliant. Play him. I don't get that either.
No, I don't either. I don't know what. I mean, it's all right saying that. It's all right, Matt Taylor saying, we wanted more attacking options on bench, and then we don't use them. That doesn't make any sense either. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I guess I'm desperately clinging to try and find some positives from it, and it's really difficult. It's really difficult. I don't know. I don't want to say for the sake of it, because I'm just going to sound like I'm a happy clapper, and I might be, but at the moment I'm not very happy, and I ain't clapping. I'm frustrated. I'm as frustrated as everybody else.
Yeah. KW Wilson says McCart was going through a training goal with Ferguson. Yeah, so that means that Ferguson didn't play because he was affected by the illness. So McCart very well could have been affected by the illness as well. We don't know, but it's becoming a theme of there must be something wrong with McCart. He's not playing because there must be something wrong with him. I don't know. It can't be ill all the time, can he? It's very strange that he's not getting minutes on the pitch when we're defending as badly as we are at the minute.
Yeah. Again, you need to caveat that by his 2 games, but the key to this is it's 2 games after a 4-week break. That's the issue for me. It's 2 performances after a period of time when we've had the opportunity to work together, to work on tactics, to work on positioning, to work on all those things that the manager wants to instill, the new manager wants to instill into his squad. And then the results have not been great, but it is only 2 games. It's almost, again, I'm clinging, I suppose, but it's almost like we're starting a new season. We've just had a pre-season, i.e. with a new manager, new formation, new tactics, new everything else. Is it going to take some time to bed in? I don't know. But we cannot go through games not creating opportunities when we spent the first 3 months of the season creating chance after chance after chance and taking them. Yeah.
John Morrell says maybe Matt Taylor doesn't rate Woody. I think the reason he's not playing Richard Wood is because Cam Humphreys is better on the ball. I think he wants a centre of the 3 to be a ball-playing player. And the problem with Woody is if you're not playing Woody as a centre of 3, you're not playing Woody. You can't play him either side of the centre. So I think that's why Woody's not playing, which probably says to me Woody's done. And we've said that before, and we won't say it again, but Cam Humphreys is clearly Matt Taylor's preferred central of the 3 defenders, which I don't mind. I like Cam Humphreys a lot. But I don't think we lose anything from a Cam Humphreys point of view, playing left or right side of the 3. And then you gain by putting Woody there.
Yeah.
But then we're talking about is the style he wants to go down. And yeah, he wants to play football.
He clearly wants to play the ball on the floor. He clearly wants to play football. He clearly wants to base it on possession. I have no issue with that when you're in possession of the ball. But the issue is when you're out of possession of the ball, you've got to win it back. You can't just sit back and allow it to come onto you. You need, because of us, the way we set up the formation, the players that we've got. We need to be pressing high. We need to be pressing teams on the edge of their 18-yard box because we're very, very good at it and we've been very successful at it. And then that will allow you to play that possession-based football, so long as you get it forward.
What Connor Washington does.
Yeah.
We've got a man on bench who's doing exactly what we want.
But then you've got to alter the formation because you need to up front. You can't just play Connor Washington. Well, you can just play Connor Washington.
Yeah, I go Burnley.
Yeah, fair comment, yeah.
And it worked really well because of his mobility and his ability to get around the pitch. I think he only came off after an hour, so it might not be something you can do in 90 minutes where we don't know his fitness situation. But Chio up tops, we've covered this already. Chio up top's not working.
Yeah.
It needs changing. Scott High came in for his first start of the season. This was because Ali Rathbone picked up a slight groin strain in the week. The scans come clear, so there's nothing wrong, but he missed 2 or 3 days of training, I think. So he wasn't match ready. I feel really sorry for Scott High because he shouldn't be playing football in the Championship right now. He didn't have a very good he doesn't bring anything to the game. He looks out of his depth, and I think technically it's quite good. I think his movement on the ball is quite good, but he doesn't particularly pick out a good pass. He's not strong enough. He's nowhere near strong enough, but the rest of the team wasn't maybe physical enough yesterday, I suppose. I feel like he's completely out of his depth. I feel like we're George Hurst all over again, in the sense that he's just not ready for this level of football, I don't think.
Well, I mean, it's all about opinions, isn't it? And I don't share that one. And I know I'll get shot down by people, but I don't agree. I think he's technically clearly a good player. He's got the skills, he's got the ability. I did notice some of the runs he made off the ball yesterday were very, very good and never got picked out. The reason being that they were forward runs, so obviously we don't play ball forward, so he wouldn't have got picked out. I don't have an issue with Scott High whatsoever, none whatsoever. I think he's more than capable.
Did he offer anything? The question would be, what did he? And I could say that's about all 11 players, to be honest with you, I suppose. So maybe they're being harsh because they're all rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. He offered as much as anybody else offered. So I think it's really, really unfair to single, not by you, but just in general. I think it's really unfair to single him out. Really unfair. But then that's what some of, not just our supporters, every team's supporters do, innit? You know, they latch onto somebody and have a pop. Scott High would appear to be our current one now. Tom Eaves has not had a few games. Not played for a few games. I don't know. I have no issue with Scott High. I think he's more than capable. I think he's possibly one of these players that might need a run to really show what he's capable of. But no, there is no way in my mind that he stood out yesterday as being anywhere close to being the worst Rotherham player on pitch. Anywhere close. Some people disagree with me. It's about opinions, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
I have no issue one that does divide, I think.
Say again?
Scott High is one that does divide a little bit, I think, as well.
Well, I don't. Yeah, and I accept that, and I know that that's the case. I don't know why that's the case. I'll be honest with you, Matt. Nobody. The arguments I've seen, none of them for me hold any water. But that's again, it's just my opinion.
As Chris Nichols says, he did play in the Championship bit last season, but John Morrell says if High was good enough at this level, Huddersfield wouldn't have loaned him out. Looking at that as well, they expected to be challenging for promotion, obviously, didn't they? I think that's why. But Huddersfield are now in a relegation battle, so one way or another, I suspect to see Scott High not at the club in January, just because why would they give us a player when we're essentially their rival for relegation? No inside information, obviously, as we tend to have very little. But if Scott High's here on the 2nd of January, I'd be very surprised. But we'll wait and see on that one. I suppose we maybe pull out a couple of players. Cohen Bramall, I want to mention. We mentioned on the chat. I messaged you and Danny yesterday. Cohen Bramall, beginning to get frustrated with him. He's got all the tools he needs. We obviously know Cohen Bramall's probably the fastest player on the pitch. He's fairly strong. He's fairly physical. He's got that about his game. He's not afraid to get stuck into a tackle, things such as that. But I massively question Cohen Bramall's work rate over a period of time now. Yesterday shone the biggest light I've seen. It doesn't particularly track back very well. I'm beginning to get frustrated with Cohen Bramall because he's got the tools, but he's not using them, is he? No,
I mean he could have cut that first goal out, no question about that. He was there, he got there in plenty of time, and it was akin to Grant Hall at Blackburn trying to stop that cross for one of the goals. It was a feeble effort trying to stop the shot, the player getting the shot off, and had he made some sort of effort, some of the tackles that we know that Colin Bramall can make, he'd done half going for him, and if had he done that, I accept it was last man and everything else, so it probably weren't quite the appropriate time to do it. But if he could have just hung a foot out there and got a touch on the ball, no question about that. So yeah, I would accept that his performances haven't been up to what his ability is by any stretch of imagination.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to pick out for performances? Can you praise anybody at all? It's tough, isn't it? It's really tough.
It is really tough. Yeah, I mean, Victor could have done better for that second goal. The first goal, they were left high and dry. The penalty he saved, but unfortunately knocked it straight back out. It's a penalty, so it's not that easy. Brooke Norton-Cuffy had very little impact on the game. The defence we've covered. Ben Wiles had very little impact on the game.
He were anonymous again, weren't he? He went back.
A little bit lost in that. Yeah, he seemed to get a little bit lost in that gap between Chio in the midfield. Jamie Lindsay, not much impact at all. Dan Barlas's passing yesterday was off. Sorry, quite a few times gave the ball away, and then played some passes where the runs just hadn't been made. So no, it's really difficult to pick out any positives from yesterday.
Yeah, John Morrell. I think it was a terrible time to play West Brom, as we mentioned in the pre-match. But it's the manner, and that's the key. It's the manner. The manner was basically unacceptable.
Yeah.
Go through a few comments. Mike Miller, which will come on to this in a minute, is the new manager showing his limitations. Phil Oxer says it's not only 2 games we haven't played well; it's quite a number. Mick just thinks it's a blip. Chris Wright, the management and the players have got to take some responsibility. Nobody expected us to do anything in this league, me included, but we shouldn't be cannon fodder either. That's also true.
I don't think we've got to that stage yet where we are, but if the performances continue at this level, we'll come way beyond cannon fodder. You know what I mean? So it's a really key point now that we need to address these issues and address them quickly.
Yeah, we do. Matt Miller says, do we think we need to give Victor a rest? He says, do we need to give Victor a rest? Or is that stupid? No, I don't think we need to give Victor a rest. I think for keepers, it's really important to keep him going. He did make a mistake. Let's get it right. He made a mistake for the second one, but it should have been stopped 3 times before it got to him. So there's plenty of blame to go around for everybody, particularly the second goal. Let's go back to Matt. I mentioned the email from Mark Gambles. He essentially asked, is the honeymoon period over? I think it was asked by Radio Sheffield when he first took over, when do you start judging him? When do we start judging him? It was 13 games in now. He obviously hasn't had the transfer window. So for me, that's at least a minimum. Give him a transfer window. When do we start judging Matt Taylor on what we're seeing and results, etc.?
End of the season, probably. At the very earliest, for me. If you're gonna appoint a manager, for me, and it's just my opinion, you appoint him for the long term, and the long term includes ups as well as downs. We had this with Paul Warne. That's £1. We had this with Paul Warne. That's £2. There were always ups and downs, and any manager that stays for any period of time at any club will have those periods. So he's got to bed in. He's got to give him time to work with the squad, to create the squad that he wants. So no, I wouldn't be judging him yet by any stretch of imagination. And it takes time, doesn't it? It takes a long time. So now, for me, I don't think we're anywhere close to recognising or understanding what his limitations are. He probably isn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how we as supporters think we've got any right to sort of sit in judgment on somebody's ability is just, it's not right. We've got no right to do it. We can judge on the basis of the way that the team plays, and but that's one thing. But the key is judging, I suppose, really on how changes are made when things aren't going right. That's the acid test. So
we'll see. January's big though. January's very, very big. Phil Oxley says none of the thirds are working at the moment, but criticise defence all the time is unfair. Stats say our backline is the most overworked in the league. Yeah, that's true. Why is that? I don't know.
Because the ball's not sticking up top. And maybe that's something that Matt Taylor is looking to work on, to try and keep possession of the ball more, so that the back four are not as overworked. You know, obviously they can't be put under pressure if we're in possession of the ball. So that's one part of, well, they can, but only through our own mistakes. But that's only one part of it, and we've got to have something, at least something going forward. And in the last 2 games, we've had absolutely nothing, not even a sniff. So,
yes, for an attacking point of view yesterday, it was embarrassing from a few different aspects, but yeah, non-existent. When I asked, do you think January is affecting some of the players? That's always a possibility. Each individual player is obviously affected differently. We saw the effect Ben Wiles had with his interest. Just mention on Dan Barlas, Mick, he was interviewed by Radio Sheffield on Saturday. In terms of the contract, he says basically got to ask the boss, got to ask the missus.
Yeah,
she's the boss, and that worries me a little bit. I'll be honest with you, because when I don't want to do something with my mates, I'll just say my wife won't let me. I've got to spend time with it. I will use her as an excuse to say no. I'm concerned. I don't know Dan's relationship with his girlfriend. I don't know, but I don't know why. It just red flagged. He's on his way. To be honest with you, to me.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. It might be end of season. I cannot see us accepting a bid for him in January. I'll be amazed. I'd be amazed.
What if he stays?
If we accept a bid for Dan Barlas in January, I'll be absolutely amazed. Whether he'll stay at the end of the season, another matter. I don't know. Depends where we are at the end of the season, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah, it does. Still no news on any other contracts. Whether we hear anything between now and January, who knows? Matt Taylor suggested there's not much money available for permanent transfers. It will all be loans that come in. I think we've got space for 3 loans. We've got Brook Norton Cuffy and Scott Hire, the current loans, aren't they? Any other loanees we've got at the minute?
Grant Hall.
So you've got 3 loans, and so you can have a maximum of 5 in the match day squad. So we've essentially got 2 spaces. That's if Scott High stays. So if you're going to bring loans in, you've got a maximum of 2 signings to come in January from a loan point of view. That doesn't mean something's going to come up. You know, you could get a free transfer, something pop up available at some point as well. So never say never. Let's use it as a number, because that's where we are at the minute. Is a couple of extra bodies in there? Do you think that if they're the right bodies in the right areas, do you think that's enough to sort of stabilise us and push us forward?
I don't see a reason why not. We're more than capable of competing at a really good level earlier on in the season. So yeah, we've got the ability within the squad. Yeah, he might want to change it. He might want to add in certain areas or get rid in certain areas. Who knows? So yeah, I think that'll be fine. But we'll have to wait and see. January's 2 or 3 games away yet. And we've got between now and January, we've got bigger fish to fry, haven't we? We've got to get back on bike pronto.
Yeah, we have big time. Kim Hayward sort of saying what I was trying to say. Not one of the players seemed bothered. Do you think Chelsea's lost the change room a little bit? I'll be very surprised. But that's what I'm saying at the start. You know, the players, they would just sort of cheer, not laughing and joking, but sort of smiling with the opposition and things like that. I think that's maybe what I was trying to get at the start.
When we're playing badly, we cling to something, don't we? We're always we're looking for a reason why, and I don't necessarily think that that's the case personally, but
no, I don't think it's. I'm also hoping it's not, because if it's lost the dressing room now, we're stuffed.
Yeah, and
I don't think we've got that group of players either. I don't think we've got a group of players who will just just tell the manager to do one or not say those words. But I might be wrong, but I don't think we've got that group of players.
No, absolutely.
Any other players you want to talk about or stuff? Any Rotherham
No,
stuff?
no, not really. I just a comment on what Mike 61 Miller said about what we pay through the turnstile gives us the right to judge players and management. To suggest we haven't got the right to judge is obvious nonsense. I'm not saying we haven't got the right to have an opinion on what we think is going off. My suggestion, what I'm saying in my view is that we don't have the right to judge whether a manager has reached his technical ability, his ability to do his job, because we don't know. We don't have sufficient information to make that judgment. Losing 3 games or winning only 3 games out of 9 or whatever it is, whatever the stat is not really sufficient information to make a judgment on, is it? You can have an opinion. We've all got opinions, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? But to write a manager or a player off, we're not in a position to do that. I don't think. That's my view. But again, like I say, it's opinions, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Right, we will wrap it up there. What I will say is we are back on Thursday evening for the Christmas episode. Christmas quiz is almost finished by myself. So get ready for that. It's a tough one. Last year's Christmas quiz was very tough. It's going to be quite tough. There'll be 25 questions. So I've set up one round, which is going to be the hardest round. If you get a point from the round I'm going to set up, good luck.
What is the point?
Because it's going to be very funny. If it goes off as I want it to, it's going to be a very good laugh. And that's all it's about. The real winner is us for laughing, hopefully. So yeah, Thursday evening, back at 8 o'clock. The Christmas episode will probably be an extended episode, more than likely, because we'll still do the preview of the Boxing Day game, which obviously Stoke City. But last we'll play some Christmas nonsense, see if we can find any Christmas games, and last of the Christmas quiz. There may or may not be a special guest coming on. May or may not be. I can't promise anything at such an early stage. But
have you got hands in fire? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't want to use a Football Manager cliche, but I have got a couple of irons in the fire. Talking to a few people, see if their things line up with us. We'll see what we can do. See if we can get this one over the line. I don't know if we can or not.
Nothing permanent though. Just like to be loans, if anything.
It'll just be a temporary move. Much like the transfer business in January, it'll be very, very temporary. Yeah. So we need some Christmas cheer. We absolutely do. And what I'm also going to keep doing is whenever we lose, I'm going to keep putting out on Twitter and Facebook some positives whenever we lose, because I really enjoyed some of the positives.
Oh, yeah.
They were really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Mark replied to your tweet about his trip to Disney on Ice or whatever it was. And I was in North Wales, and it cheered me up watching BBC North Wales News, because it was just the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen, honestly, genuinely, right? This is a criticism.
Anybody didn't know, anybody didn't see it, explain.
Well, the headline article, the first article on BBC Wales, was about a farmer who'd had to have a cow put down. That's it. That's the story. There is nothing else to it. He had
not
to
the sub-zero temperatures and the dangerous ice.
Just he had to have a cow put down, and they sent a reporter out.
Okay. We shouldn't laugh at a cow dying, but that's the fact.
No. I mean, what I can't get my head around. So it cheered me up. Basically, it cheered me up because I like a moan. I love a moan, and it makes me feel better. And I was trying to work out whether nothing at all of any value happened in Wales on Saturday. Nothing.
Apparently not.
I mean,
John might have been his favourite cow. You know what I mean?
I get that, John. Listen, absolutely. You know what I mean? We've all got a favourite cow. But my point is, why is it on BBC News? My favourite cow was never on BBC News.
Because you haven't put down yet.
Oh well, that might be it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that. Every time we lose, we'll put a tweet out. Give us your positive spin on the day. Nothing to do with the football. Give us your positive news from the game that we lose. As we are now, it's probably going to happen quite a lot. Mick, do you want to go through very quickly as World Cup predictions, or should we knock it on ahead?
No, let's do it very quickly.
Very quickly, because we'll get this out of the way. And Danny's not here. Danny's not feeling very well tonight, so Danny's not joining. It's fine. It's just nothing to worry about. But if you want to send goodwill, messages to Danny, help you feel better. It might make him feel better. We don't know. But we're going to go through our very, very, very quick our World Cup predictions. Mikola wants to go through this because I think he's got his right. So we went for winner, Golden Boot, winner of Best Player, Dark Horse, stage of elimination for England, and underachievers. I went France for the winners, runners up. Danny went for Brazil. They went out in the quarterfinals. Mick went for Harry Kane. He didn't go for Harry Kane. Went for Argentina. I went Golden Boot winner. I went Harry Kane. Mick went Harry Kane. Danny went Leo Messi. Leo Messi was runner up, so Danny gets a point for that one. Winner of Best Player. Well, house. Leo Messi. We all went for Leo Messi. Brilliant. Dark Horse. I'm sorry, Danny. But Danny went for Qatar, as we've already mentioned. Disaster. I'm sorry. That's a horrendous one. Mick went Denmark, who also finished bottom of their group.
Just as horrendous.
Yeah. I went for South Korea, who made the last 16. So, of us, I win that point. But Morocco were obviously the dark horse because they also got to the semi-final. England's stage of elimination. We all went quarterfinals. We all predicted the France defeat. I think we all mentioned the France defeat in that episode, to be honest with you. Underachievers. This is going to be difficult to judge, to be honest with you. Mick, you went Spain. I don't think I can give you that because they went out in the last 16 quarterfinals. Last 16, weren't it?
They were still dire.
They were dire, but were they as bad as Germany?
Who also went out in the last 16, didn't they?
No, they went out in the group stages.
Oh, of course they did. Yeah.
But were they as bad as Belgium, who Danny picked?
No.
So Danny wins the Belgium prediction of underachievers of the rubbish team. Great World Cup finish, Mick. Probably the best World Cup in my memory, from start to finish, ignoring the outside noise. An amazing World Cup, topped off with one of the iconic moments of World Cup, Leo Messi lifting the trophy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. The quality of the football's been absolutely straight out of the top drawer, so it should be for a World Cup. I'm pleased Argentina won it. I'm pleased for Lionel Messi because, in my view, he is probably the greatest footballer ever to grace this planet. And it's nice that he's been able to top that off with a deserved World Cup, a couple of goals as well. So yeah, I mean, from a footballing point of view, I think probably Argentina did deserve it. They were, out of the South American teams, they were the least South American out of all of them, in my view, in terms of their attitude towards the game. Whilst they did throw themselves about a little bit, they weren't anywhere near as bad as probably all the other South American teams,
except against Holland.
Except against Holland, which there's obviously some history there, isn't there?
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I mean, I'm so happy for Messi. I just think it tops his career off, and it's great to see. So yeah, it's been great, and it's the worst part about it has been missing out on the 10 o'clock kickoffs, because that first week or so were just
won it bliss.
Absolute specialty. But anyway, there you go.
But now we've got the darts. The darts is on. Anyway, we're going off topic. We've got the darts.
Yeah.
That's something. We'll finish with Mike Miller's comments. We'll finish as he said we should have started. Start today as football fans, look at the bigger picture of the World Cup and what a joy it is to see Leo Messi get his hands on a trophy. His glorious talent deserves.
Absolutely.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Like I said, we're back Thursday. Please do make sure you join us at 8 o'clock on Thursday, if you can, for the live on YouTube and Facebook for the Christmas episode. There will be literal fun and games in there. And please subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're with us. Please do make sure you subscribe, follow us on Twitter as well, and like the page on Facebook if you have not already. Mick, it's been a pleasure. Been like the old days, just me and thee again.
I know, yeah. No, Thursday's not going to be like that, though, is it?
Thursday may be a bit more hectic than just me and you.
Well, I hope so. I bet everybody else doesn't know.
I'm building this up a bit now. If everything goes belly up and it's just us two again, it's gonna be a night.
Yeah.
It's all set to be a very good episode, I think. Anyway, and if you were with us last Christmas episode, that were a belter. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on Thursday evening or Friday morning, whenever you listen. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, bye.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The Magic Man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's